Welcome back to Varsity Sports Now. Now, at first glance, this 6'1", 168-pound receiver from Brandon Valley doesn't strike you as anything special, but when he gets on the football field, there are few players as special as Matthew Vandeberg. We'll give you a closer look at one of the top playmakers that South Dakota has ever produced. Matt has always been one of the top athletes in his class, but it wasn't until his freshman year that he realized he might be able to compete at the top level of college football.
My freshman head coach, Justin Mashlin, he told me that, hey, you have some skills. If you fine-tune them, you might be able to do something here. So he really made me realize that I could do something.
By the end of his junior season, Vandeberg had become one of the top all-around players in South Dakota and the latest in a growing line of Lynx playmakers. All of them have been special, but Brandon Valley head coach Chad Garrow says Vandeberg's ability to impact the game in all three phases sets him apart from the others.
Matthew, he's on the field all the time. I mean, Dale was strictly a receiver. Austin was strictly a quarterback. And then some of our other good ones, like Nate Mahone, when he was a running back. But Matthew doesn't leave the field for us. So he's very special in that way.
Vandeberg's versatility, along with his 4.49 40 time, drew attention from several big-time programs, including Iowa, Iowa State, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. But in the end, he felt most at home with the Hawkeyes.
I really liked the family-type atmosphere. Everybody seemed to embrace everything that was going on. The strength and conditioning coach down there is also excellent. I was just very happy with everything that was going on there.
Exactly where he'll fit into that family is to be determined. So for now, Vandeberg will just keep doing what he does best, making plays.
All right, obviously, Jason, as we look at him on video, it's pretty easy to see what makes Matt Vandeberg such a special player, but you go into his stats and actually look at his numbers, everything pops off the page.
Yeah, literally everything does. He can receive the ball. I mean, he plays almost every aspect of the special teams. He's the team punter. He does punt returns, kick returns. And then on defense, I think this is where he makes the biggest impact, and he may end up being a defensive player at Iowa next year. He has 18 career interceptions, and of those 18 career interceptions, he's taken 4 back to the house. I mean, he's got that 4.49 speed. Tough to catch him in an open field in a situation where he's just picked one off.
Not a lot of guys can say they've scored a touchdown in all 3 phases, and that's something that he clings to. And there's not a lot of guys that impact the game in 11AA the way Matt Vandeberg does.
No, there's not a lot. He's got just a couple peers as far as I'm concerned. We've got a list of some of the other D1 commits, verbal commitments early on, and one guy I would rank up there with him would be Nate Gary. Nate Gary is one guy who does the same thing. He does special teams, he does defense, and he does a great job on offense as well.
Yeah, and you saw Nate Gary last week in that tough win over Pierre. He was almost single-handedly, it seemed, took the Warriors to a win over Pierre when they got a scare there. And there's another guy up north from Warner that's a 9-man guy who's going to make an impact at the Division I level.
Yeah, Jared Tuska. This guy is a big guy. He's relatively fast for his size. He's going to grow into a defensive end position with the Bison. I mean, if you're going to play with the Bison, he was their first verbal commitment of the year. They really like this guy, and I think Tuska could be the kind of guy who really excels up there, and they've seen a lot of South Dakota guys go up and play at North Dakota State and do well on that defensive line. He's the next one in line.
Yeah, and of course, the verbal commitments are only beginning. Signing day not till February, so we're going to see a bunch more of these as the football season moves on and as we get into the winter coming up. Well, stay tuned with us. Jason and I will be back. Highlights and power rankings from the state of North Dakota coming up right after this.